Hey guys, it's Monan coming back at you today with a follow-up to what happened with Kanye yesterday. Didn't have too many tweets today. He did retweet what someone else wrote that said, I am beginning to think the word anti-Sem is the new N-word, but spelled out the N-word. And Kanye retweeted it. And then I believe the tweet was taken down. And I don't know if he's on lockdown again. I haven't seen him post on Instagram or on Twitter anymore today. But I did find an interesting thread. I covered it on my show today. I'm going to cover it here. It's done by Restoring Order and it's excellently done. And we're just going to review it very quickly. Let me make sure I'm sharing my audio here just in case. And I don't want to make this a super long thread, a super long video, but I'm going to try to get as quickly as we can. So it says, who is Harley Pasternak? The man whom Kanye West is accused of trying to institutionalize him, drug him into oblivion, and take away his kids. As it turns out, this personal trainer is connected to psychological operations, the Canadian military, and other strangeness. And it links the tweet that I went over yesterday. I'm going to go over it again in case you didn't watch my video yesterday. I will link yesterday's video in the end of this video. I'm going to help you one of a couple ways. First, you and I sit down and have a loving and open conversation, but you don't use cuss words, and everything that is discussed is based in fact and not some crazy stuff that dumb friend of yours told you or you saw in a tweet. Second option, I have you institutionalized again, where they medicate the crap out of you and you go back to zombie land forever. Play dates with the kids just won't be the same. Sounds like a threat to me, right? And what he wrote, Kanye, it says, what should be obvious by now is that I was raised to stand for my truthfulness. So I will say again, I was mentally diagnosed and nearly drugged out of my mind to make me a manageable, well-behaved celebrity. Now it goes over changes. Finding information on Harley has become complicated by recent events. For some odd reason, his Wikipedia page was altered after Kanye's tweet. Now, in the video I did yesterday, I happened to catch it before it was altered. And this is it here. Although maybe it's not. It says on the left is his current page. On the right is the archive version from earlier today. But this has no mention of Kanye and no mention of his celebrity list. In this one, it says in 2022, Harley threatened to his then client Kanye with involuntary commitment should he refuse to talk. So if you go to my video from yesterday, you can see his entire list of clients almost. Someone recently removed from Harley Pasternak's Wikipedia entry two main things: any reference to Kanye West and the lengthy list of his former clients. And it says you can look for yourself. I will link to this Twitter in the description box below. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up and please subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to grow this channel, so but here's the noteworthy clients list here. You can see all of them: Gwen Paltrow, Tobey Maguire, Rihanna McMiller, Jennifer Hudson. A lot of these have had, some complications in their lives. Kanye West, Megan Fox, Lady Gaga, Kim K. And this is about Mac Mill. Would be pissed he died, says his personal trainer, Harvey Pasternak. So it says, note that some of his former clients had mental breakdowns or died under suspicious circumstances. Mac Miller, Brittany Murphy, not listed, and others. The other is Holly Pasternak, a physical trainer who worked with the couple. This must be Murphy and her husband, which did die under very strange circumstances. She died first, he died several weeks later, and I do believe they blamed it on like anemia and allergies and stuff. It was a very odd story, and I should do a deep dive on it, but while ample screen time is spent theorizing about the nature of Monjack and Murphy's relationship, was he too controlling? Were they deeply in love? It's Pasternak who clears away a lot of the speculation. Did Murphy seem like she wanted to be with Monjack? She seemed like she was high. So I don't know, Pasternak responds. It's deeply dispiriting, but also a sort of straightforward answer, sorely lacking in a docuseries full of talking heads who want to prove themselves Murphy scholars. So that must be like a review of a documentary about her. Also noteworthy, this was all mentioned in my video yesterday. Where was he at the time of his alleged breakdown? Holly Pasternak's house. Right here from TMZ. But just who is Harley Pasternak? He's a personal trainer, right? Let's take a look at his background. At first glance, nothing stands out. He's just an educated man with a master's degree in exercise and nutrition, but that isn't the full story. Links back to his Wikipedia, where he earned his master's from the University of Toronto, yada, yada, yada. His Wikipedia page states that during the time at U of T, University of Toronto, Pasternak served as a nutrition and exercise scientist at the Department of National Defense's Defense and Civil Institute for Environmental Medicine. The DND, Department of National Defense, is the Canadian government's department which supports the Canadian Armed Forces. It's a civilization organization, a support system of sorts for the military. I'm not sure the US equivalent would be the DoD and the DHS. I'm not sure either one of those would be equivalent because those are not civil organizations. They are funded by the federal government. Someone in live chat when I was doing my show suggested DARPA, which I also believe is federally funded. It could be something like Rand Corp or one of these type of private contractors. Trying to think like Blackwater or something like that. Who knows? Regardless, Harley Pasternak worked as a scientist for 2 years at DRDC, Toronto, one of Defense Research and Development Canada's military research center. It's also part of the DND. Here's some pictures. Nothing too fancy. What sort of stuff is researched at DRDC? Human systems integration, social and psychological factors that affect the resolution of conflict, psychology of malicious intent, social and cultural factors influencing behavior, literal psyops. Here's the list he just went down. So psyops, this guy's a psyop dude. He's a handler. But we don't have to rely on what the website tells us because we can listen to him tell it in his own words.
To have him as my graduate advisor. And the area that I was interested in was how drugs and food affect muscular performance. And
when you say drugs, are that like performance-enhancing drugs, or are they
all
just
kinds of drugs?
Oh, right. Okay.
So working for the military, I wasn't governed by the same laws that the typical person was. So I could look at the impact of certain drugs that are not everyday things. So
okay, so this is gonna sound like it's pretty benign, but keep in mind that a lot of these programs are studying how to build a super soldier and things of that nature. And what they're doing actually isn't benign. They're drugging the military.
So we looked at a drug called modafinil, which was for narcoleptics. So if you give a soldier this drug, how long could they stay awake for without having any health detriment?
Is that used now as one of these brain drugs? I've heard the name before somewhere.
Yeah, so it's...
So here we have a motivational speaker who is threatening Kanye and nutritional and fitness trainer who's hacking a lung out during an interview. But anyway, I digress.
It's very interesting. Modafinil, it will keep you awake, but it's not a stimulant.
Really?
So if a special forces person has to stay awake for 3 nights waiting for the right opportunity to do whatever they have to do, we could give them modafinil and it would keep them alert. I did research on a drug called acetazolamide, which is for use at high altitude so you don't get altitude sickness.
Okay, so clearly he was studying drugs and their effect on soldiers. Now let me not forget to share my screen again. Here we go. Okay. Now, the stuff with the DNA gets weirder. The branch of the Canadian government included the Defense Research Board, DRB. We've got a lot of alphabet soup here, but here's where it gets interesting. The DRB quite literally funded MK Ultra, as did the CIA. This program involved forced experiments with drugs, sensory deprivation, and brainwashing. If you do not know what MK Ultra is, I suggest you Google it. It was a CIA operation in the 1950s. It came under congressional inspection in the 70s during the church hearings. People had FOIA'd the information and nothing was turned up. But then one day they FOIA'd for finances and they found the finances, and it opened up that in 203 programs or sub-programs all throughout institutions, colleges, orphanages, institutions for the medically insane, institutions for the criminally insane, colleges, hospitals. They were doing these experiments on people, mind control experiments, and many of them revolved around building super soldiers, building sex slaves, breaking the minds of children, and then fracturing them through SA. And it's a very, very interesting topic. The DRB was the last part of the DND to adapt the unification of the Canadian Armed Forces in 1968. DRB began transitioning to the new structure in 1974 and dissolved in 1977, almost identical to when MK Ultra dissolved. 6 of the 7 DRB research establishments were transferred to the newly created Defense Research and Development Branch, DRDB, of the Canadian Armed Forces. In the 1990s, budget cuts and complexity of greater reliance on cheaper contracting drove a review of the organization. In 2002, the DRDB was replaced by the Defense Research and Development Canada, DRDC, which was, like the DRB before, a DND agency. A lot of alphabet soup there, right? Here is where it gets interesting. If you know anything about MK Ultra mind control programming, you will know the name Dr. Ewan Cameron. After the World War II ended, there was an operation called Operation Paperclip, where they brought over Nazi scientists to the United States, also to Canada, I believe. And that is where they continued conducting the experiments that they were doing in the concentration camps over in Germany. Not everything the DRB funded was as auspicious or beneficent. Amidst the Arctic medical research was a grant to Dr. Ewan Cameron of McGill for behavioral problems in the adaptation of white men to the Arctic. Why are they studying behavioral problems of men adapting to the Arctic? That's a whole nother story for a different show. But the 3 men were interested in de-patterning. That's like fracturing the mind, right? Also known as mind control, or more popularly as brainwashing. In 1951, Cameron was removed from his project on community disasters, and Ticehurst was given a limited amount of funding to complete it before being offered employment by the DRB. For years later, both Cameron and Ty Hurst were the subjects of court proceedings. Cameron's former patients in the Allen Memorial Institute sued the Canadian government and the CIA for what amounted to torture without informed consent. Cameron died in 1967, long before the proceedings. Very interesting topic. There is a Canadian broadcasting system that did a documentary show on these institutions and the people. You can probably find it on YouTube. Recap: Harley Pasternak, the personal trainer who got Kanye institutionalized once and is allegedly threatening to do it again, have the rapper drugged and take his kids away, was a scientist at a PSYOP-oriented military research center who work focused on drugs. He says he's not a conspiratorial guy, but if the elites did assign handlers to celebrities, particularly those deemed unpredictable or hard to control, with the purpose of keeping those celebrities in line, those handlers would look a lot like Pasternak. And it isn't too crazy when you think about it. Okay. But what does it mean that he's serving powerful interests, or at the very least had their backing? Even the best personal trainer lacks the ability to get, but it does mean that he's serving powerful interests. Even the best personal trainer lacks the ability to get someone institutionalized on a whim. Pasternak is likely an intermediary for more powerful, shadowy forces in Hollywood. We rarely are able to peer behind the curtain. Occasions like this are significant because they reveal the secret power dynamics at play in elite society. Exactly what I said yesterday. Now, I want you to remember that in November of 2016, Kanye went on a rant on stage calling out Google, Facebook, Obama, and Clinton. And he said that there were a lot of disillusioned voters because Facebook had been lying to him and Google had been lying to them. They were telling people that 98% chance that Hillary was going to win, when it was clearly very clear by watching the crowds that Trump had the lead. And so 2 or 3 days later, Kanye was 51-50'd. He was put in a mental institution against his will. This is the doctor who did it, Dr. Michael Farzam. Is Kanye's doctor. The good doctor was personally responsible for instituting Kanye back in 2016. If you want to hear the 911 call, it's on my video from yesterday. I'm not going to play it again today, but he called at 1:20 p.m. Now here's Pasternak the night after Kanye was institutionalized.
So we can just use this and, just quick statement. Is he good? Thumbs up.
Is this during a workout, or I know fans are going to be worried. We're just going to check in. Thank you.
Okay, you can reach his publicist. All right.
I believe he said you can reach his publicist.
Is there anything you want people to know about what happened? It's going to be recorded, so.
Sorry, nothing to share. How long have you trained Kanye? Sorry, guys. Cool.
Pretty much said, sorry, guys, looking right at the camera.
You can't say anything. Just, is he okay? Do you know if he's breathing?
Is that accurate? That is a psychiatric evaluation? It's just for precautions?
I don't know.
How are you feeling? What would you want to say to him? Is everyone else okay?
Was there anyone else there?
All right, this guy is really pretty famous. He did Revenge Body with Chloe. He was on that. He's been on Good Morning America. Lots of other things. So we've established that someone like Pasternak, who it would be alleged functions as a handler of sorts, has a broader network to tap into to keep these potential rogue celebrities in line. Many celebrities' breakdowns have probably been motivated by stress and no foul play involved. But the text messages Kanye posted were pretty damning. Do what we say or lose everything. That raises the question about other celebrities who we've been told to write off as lunatics. Now, all of this came from someone named Patrick Casey's Telegram. Unfortunately, I don't have a Telegram, so I don't have it. They're scrubbing this from Wikipedia. Other people are replying. This is a bigger story than it's people are giving it credit for. And there was a clip of Tequila on here, and I can't seem to find it right now, but she was talking about how she was talking about in 2016, after what happened to Kanye, and that they have star whackers and they have means of controlling people for who get out of control, and that when you sign a contract to be in Hollywood and you get handed all kinds of free stuff, it's not free. It comes with ties, and you are controlled. And when you step out of line, you are sent back for reprogramming. And I think that's exactly what we are seeing here. I can't believe I just played it on my show and I can't find it now. But it was pretty interesting. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there for now. Do your research on Mkultra. I don't think we've heard the last of this. Actually, Adidas is trending right now. Let's see why. Georgia shoe manufacturers lays off most of workforce after Adidas stops Yeezy Kanye West production. So I'm going to leave it there. Like, subscribe. You can watch my show from my video from yesterday if you want more info on what happened yesterday. And I will continue to follow this for you and keep you updated. Have a great night, guys.